And hello and good evening. Welcome to another live stream on my channel here as we get set for a top three matchup in the FCS. The Jackrabbits of South Dakota State and the Bobcats of Montana State. South Dakota State ranked number 2 this week. Montana State coming in ranked number 3. First of all, welcome in. My name is John here on YouTube, Sports Bonanza John, my YouTube handle. Also with you tonight on Kick at Sports Kick John. This should be a fun one. South Dakota State and Montana State. Montana State coming off an FCS championship game appearance one season ago. South Dakota State, a semifinal appearance last year in the FCS playoffs. South Dakota State ranked number 2 this week, coming off a season-opening 20-3 win over Sacramento State last week, a game that saw the South Dakota State defense give up just 136 yards of offense to Sacramento State. Montana State coming off a loss to Oregon last week, so not really able to tell a factor with that score. This team is still very, very good and is probably going to make another run at the FCS championship game. Before we begin any stream on this page, I do always, or on this stream page, I do always start off with a prayer beforehand. So let's get to that. Lord Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for looking over us, and please keep everyone safe tonight, Lord, and look over them all, Lord, and look over everybody and let this be a very safe game for everyone. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. One of the most, if not the most anticipated FCS matchup of the season. Two teams that are expected to make deep, deep runs in the FCS this year. South Dakota State, Missouri, out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Montana State out of the Big Sky Conference, two of the top FCS conferences in the country, and this should be a good one tonight. South Dakota State mentioned coming off that 20-3 win last week over Sacramento State. South Dakota State, Julius Lockridge leading the way last week, 159 yards rushing last week in that win over Sacramento State, and Chase Mason 190 yards passing in that game, in a game that South Dakota State put up over 400 yards of offense against a Sacramento State team that was ranked preseason number 15 in the FCS poll. Montana State mentioned coming off that loss over Oregon. So don't know if you can really tell much, although Justin Lamson did put up almost 200 yards rushing against that Oregon defense last week. As a whole, Montana State put up almost 250 yards of offense. Didn't get much done in the rushing game last week, but not unexpected against an Oregon team that is ranked top 10 in the FBS. So we should have a good one here tonight. Right before this game came on, I was watching the end. We just had an upset at the FBS level, and for the second straight week, it's the South Florida Bulls that pulled off the upset. South Florida beating Boise State last week, and they went into Gainesville this week and just kicked a last-second field goal and knocked off the Florida Gators 18-16. So we'll see. We should see a number in front of South Florida next week when the polls come out. We will run down a complete scoreboard around college football, FBS, and FCS as the night goes on. But we are just about set for kickoff in this one. South Dakota State's going to receive the football first in this top 5 FCS matchup tonight. Number 2 versus number 3, and a packed house on hand on a Saturday evening. Montana State set to kick this football away as we are getting underway. And here's the opening kick. This ball taken in the end zone and will not be returned. So South Dakota State will start this first series at the 25-yard line, led by quarterback Chase Mason, who, as I mentioned, threw for 190 yards on 17 of 23 passing last week in their win over Sacramento State. Mason also rushed for 30 yards last week against that Sacramento State defense. The Jackrabbits start the football at the 25-yard line, first down and 10. Mason going out of the gun on this first down play, and Mason looking, throwing, passes caught. Reception for 7 yards. See who that was that made the catch for the Jackrabbits. It was Grayton Gannon with the reception. Gain of 7 on first down, brings up 2nd down and 3. Mason looking, and Mason will keep it. Mason will have a first down across the 35 up to the 37-yard line. So Mason does it with his legs there, picking up 5 yards and a Jackrabbits first down. Moving the football up to the 37-yard line. First down for the Jackrabbits. Just over a minute old in this one. Mason out of the shotgun once again. Mason looking downfield, has a man down there, and it's caught inside the 40-yard line. And South Dakota State on 3 plays is into Montana State territory, as that pass goes for 26. Reception made that time for Lofton Ogroski, and an immediate snap here to Lockridge, getting his first carry of the game. Rushed for 159 last week in their win over Sacramento State. Second down coming for the Jackrabbits. Moving the ball down the field on this opening possession of the game. That was a 4-yard pickup on first down. Brings up 2nd down and 6. Mason out of the gun, as he is quite often. Mason with the screen pass. Reception made across the 25-yard line up to the 23-yard line. Another Jackrabbits first down. That's Ogroski again with the reception. And move the sticks. Football sits at the 22-yard line of Montana State. First down, South Dakota State. As the Jackrabbits look for points on this opening drive, Mason throws again to Ogroski, his 3rd reception on this drive, and he goes out of bounds at the 15-yard line. So on the first possession of the game, Jackrabbits into the Bobcats red zone. Football sits right at the 15-yard line. 2nd down and 3. This is a handoff and another first down. This is Lockridge inside the 10 to the 7-yard line, and it'll be 1st and goal, South Dakota State, on the opening drive of the game. First down, goal to go at the 7. Here's another handoff, Lockridge again. Lockridge down to about the 3-yard line. Or did he get in? They're marking him down at the 3. I think the South Dakota State offense was trying to say that that his knee didn't hit, but they are marking him down at the 3. Second and goal from the 3-yard line. Opening possession of the game for the Jackrabbits has taken about 4.5 minutes off the clock so far. 2nd down and goal. Here's another handoff and getting a yard this time. And it'll be 3rd down and goal. Different running back we saw right there for the Jackrabbits. That was James Basinger getting the carry. It'll be 3rd and goal from the 2. Third and goal, Jackrabbits at the 2. Mason looking. Mason nowhere to go and is taken down at the 7-yard line. Mason stopped for a loss of 5, and it will bring up 4th down. See who that was that got Mason there. Like Alec Eckert got the stop there on Mason on 4th down. On 3rd and goal from the 2. Now it's 4th and goal from the 7. And the Jackrabbits send the field goal team out. Field goal attempt of 25 yards. And the kick is up, and the kick is good. And the Jackrabbits strike first. They get 3 out of it. But a good goal line stand by Montana State to hold the Jackrabbits to 3. As Eli Stater puts it through, and it is 3-0 South Dakota State with 9:02 remaining in the first quarter. And now we will see the Montana State offense come out for the first time. Scoring drive for the Jackrabbits, 11 plays, 68 yards. 5 minutes, 58 seconds, capped off with a 25-yard field goal, rather, from Eli Stater, and a 3-0 lead for South Dakota State. Run down the top 10 in the FCS poll this week. North Dakota State, of course, still number 1, getting 53 of the 56 first-place votes. South Dakota State to number 2, jumping up a spot this week. Montana State at number 3. They fell a spot this week. Those 2 teams got the other 3 first-place votes. South Dakota State picking up 2, Montana State picking up 1. South Dakota State remains at number 4. Tarleton State made the jump from 10 to 5 with that big win at FBS Army last week. Montana's at 6. They were off last week. Illinois State drops 1 spot to number 7. UC Davis, number 8, Rhode Island, number 9, and Idaho rounding out the top 10 in the FCS poll this week. We will run down some scores from those teams coming up at the next dead ball, at the next timeout, which with 9:02 to play in the first quarter sees the Jackrabbits leading the Bobcats 3-0, and we will see the Montana State offense out for the first time. As we are just about set to resume with the kickoff, following the 11-play scoring drive for the Jackrabbits. Looks like a little bit of a, I don't know if the TV lost reception or what happened, but seems like a little bit of a delay coming back. And I was already asked by a couple people this week when they heard I was going to do this game, are you going to show? Unfortunately, I cannot show the game. There's copyright restrictions involved there, so I cannot actually show the game itself. Unfortunately, I wish I could, but... So here we go, finally set to resume with the kickoff here on a nearly 6-minute opening scoring drive for South Dakota State. And here is the kickoff. Taken right at the goal line and is going to get run out across the 10 and dropped at the 15-yard line. Return there for Montana State, on the kick return was Jabez Woods. And Montana State is backed up at their own 15-yard line. So here it comes, quarterback Justin Lamson threw for 198 in Montana State's loss at Oregon last week. Not the greatest starting field position for the Bobcats, their own 15-yard line, first down and 10. Lamson to throw on first play, and the pass is caught for a minimal gain. Reception there for Montana State for Taco Dowler as he picks up 4 yards. Bring up 2nd down and 6. Taco Dowler had 1 catch in the game against Oregon last week for Montana State. 2nd down and 6. Lamson's pass is caught, but going absolutely nowhere after the catch, as the South Dakota State defense was right there. That might have been a loss of a yard. Reception was made by the tight end, Rylan Schlepp. And it is a 1-yard loss on that play, bringing up a 3rd down 7 for Montana State. Third down, Bobcats need 7 from their own 18. Lamson's pass is caught, but again immediately hit, and the ball's out, and the Jackrabbits have recovered. A catch and a fumble recovered by South Dakota State. And they have the football deep in Montana State territory. So the reception for South Dakota State, made by Ryan King. And then the hit by cornerback Miles Taylor forced the fumble. And actually, they're not calling it a fumble. They're saying he's down. But nonetheless, it's still short of the 1st down. So it's 4th down, and here's the punt, taken at the 33-yard line and returned to the 39. So by calling him down, that saved Montana State about 35 yards in field position. So South Dakota State scores on their opening drive and then forces 3 and out to Montana State on their first defensive possession, and South Dakota State's going to get the football right back with 7.5 to play in the opening quarter and a 3-0 lead. Run down some FCS scores real quick. FCS number 1, North Dakota State. Boy, they just annihilated Tennessee State in Nashville today. 59-3, the final score in that one. The number 4 team in FCS, South Dakota, they're tied with Lamar at halftime, 10-10. Tarleton State, fresh off their upset over Army last week. They're playing their home opener today and leading 21-3 over Mississippi Valley State. That game's in the 2nd quarter. Montana, number 6 team in FCS. They're off to a quick 7-0 lead over Central Washington. That game 5 minutes in. Number 7 team in FCS, Illinois State, in action currently, and they lead Morehead State in the 2nd quarter, 17-6. Couple other scores for you. Number 8 team in FCS, UC Davis, they play later on. They have an FBS school tonight as they travel to Washington. That game to kick off a little later. Number 9, Rhode Island, in action at Stony Brook tonight. That game is currently in a weather delay. Had a lot of weather issues across the country today in college football. And number 10, Idaho, defeated St. Thomas of Minnesota earlier today, 37-30. So Idaho picking up the victory there. Here it's 3-0 Jackrabbits over the Bobcats, 7:30 to go in the opening quarter. And the Jackrabbits have the football right back as they will start this next drive at the 39-yard line. We'll run down some FBS scores at the next timeout. Montana State fans out in full force tonight. Jackrabbits football, first down at officially the 41-yard line is where they spot this. Mason and the offense right back to work. And Mason will keep it on a fake give to Lockridge, and Mason will pick up a couple yards up to the 43-yard line. Brings up second down and 8 for South Dakota State. Mason, as I mentioned last week, passed for 198 or passed for 190 and ran for an additional 30 yards. So he can be one of those dual threat quarterbacks. As it's second down and 9, Mason out of the gun once again finds his receiver. That ball's on the ground as Ogrosky fumbled, and the Bobcats have recovered. So the Bobcats turned the ball over to South Dakota State, and South Dakota State just returned the favor 2 plays later. So Ogrosky coughed it up. See who that was that made the hit for Montana State that jarred the ball loose. It was looked like the linebacker Cole Taylor with the hit that forced the fumble, and the Bobcats take over at the 48 of the Jackrabbits, first down and 10. Here's a handoff on first down and a considerable gain on first down up to the 43-yard line. Pick up of 4 yards. Julius Davis on the carry there. And it'll be second down for Montana State. Second down, football sitting at the 43-yard line. And it goes right back to Davis, and this time Davis is going to be stood up after a 1-yard gain by a swarm of South Dakota State defenders. And it will set up third down and 4 for the Bobcats. Third down and 4. Football sitting at the 42-yard line of South Dakota State. 5:45 and counting to play in this first quarter. The end around, this is going to be a first down, and almost able to break that. Off the end around was Taco Dowler. He does get a first down for Montana State as he picks up 8 yards up to the 33. So the Bobcats with their first down of the game up to the 34-yard line of South Dakota State. It's a quarterback keeper inside the 30 up to the 27-yard line. And the quarterback keeper for Lamson. And a good 6 yards there on first down. Boy, Lamson, that was a design quarterback keep the whole way. Gain of 6, second down and 4. Both quarterbacks go out of the shotgun quite often. Lamson's going to keep it again, and he is going to pick up only about a yard this time as the South Dakota State defense was right there, and it'll force a third down and 3. So another third down opportunity for Montana State as we tick down near the 4-minute mark of this opening quarter. Third down, Bobcats need 3. They need to get to the 23-yard line of South Dakota State. And this is Davis, and he's going nowhere. The South Dakota State defense was bringing the heat, and it's a loss of 2 for Davis. And now what do the Bobcats do on fourth down? This would be about a 45-yard field goal from this spot. And they do bring on the field goal unit. "45-yard attempt. And it is no good. He hooked it to the right. So Miles Sandstead misses from 45, and that will keep the game at 3-0 for South Dakota State with 3:19 to play in the first quarter. So the first scoring chance for Montana State results in a missed 45-yarder. And that will give South Dakota State the football when we resume out of this timeout. Let's run down a few scores from the FBS level for you from earlier today. Number 1, Ohio State. Boy, what a thumping they put on Grambling today. 70-0, Ohio State winning that game over Grambling. Number 2, Penn State with a shutout of Florida International, 34-0. Number 4, Georgia. They got the win over Austin Peay 28-6, but not the finest of performances by the Georgia Bulldogs, but they do get the win. Number 6, Oregon, 69-3 over Oklahoma State. Number 7, Texas bounced back from their loss last week, 38-7 over San Jose State. Number 8, Clemson got a battle all day from Troy before pulling away late and winning that game 27-16. Couple other scores for you. Number 11, Illinois winning at Duke 45-19. The upset of the day, as I mentioned earlier, right when I went on, number 13, Florida falls at home to South Florida 18-16, second-ranked win in a row for the Bulls. Number 14, Florida State hangs 77 on East Texas A&M, wins that game 77-3. Number 16, Iowa State beating their state rivals from Iowa 16-13. Ranked teams in action right now, number 25, Utah, 49-6. They lead Cal Poly late in the third. Number 5, Miami, fresh off their win over Notre Dame last week. They lead Bethune 28-3 at the break. Number 10, South Carolina in a weather delay right now with their state rivals from South Carolina State. Number 3, LSU 7-0 over Louisiana Tech. Number 12, Arizona State losing at Mississippi State right now. 10-0, and the game of the night, number 18, Oklahoma, leading number 15, Michigan, 7-0. That's just a few of the scores going on around the country. As we resume here, 3-0 South Dakota State, leading Montana State in this top 3 FCS battle. And the Jackrabbits will start this next drive off the missed field goal from the 27-yard line, as Mason and the Jackrabbits offense is back to work. Mason gives it off to Lockridge, and Lockridge across the 30 with running room. Lockridge near first down yardage. Up to the 37-yard line. And 3 minutes and counting remaining in this first quarter. Students out in full force tonight as well. Gain of 9 officially, second down and a yard for the Jackrabbits, and Mason to put it in the air this time, and the pass is caught. And that will be a first down for South Dakota State. That's Ogroski, again, his 5th catch of the first quarter, and it's good for 14 and Jackrabbits first down. Ogroski making sure he held on to the football with 2 hands that time. He fumbled on the previous series. First down at midfield for South Dakota State. And the end around, and that fooled absolutely nobody. This is going to be a big loss. And a double reverse was actually what it was, not an end around, but it's going to be a 9-yard loss on first down. Storming right through that offensive line was linebacker Cole Taylor. Second or third time called his name in this quarter. A loss of 8. As the double reverse play did not work out. Second down and 18. Mason just gets that snap off, gives it off to Lockridge, and Lockridge with running room. Lockridge to the 44-yard line on 2nd and 18. Lockridge picks up 14, setting up now a manageable 3rd down and 4. As we're down to the final minute of this first quarter. Third down and officially 5, they call it, from the 44. Ball's actually sitting just inside the 45. Mason, Lockridge going nowhere on 3rd and 5. There's that Bobcats defense again. Holding Lockridge to no gain, and now 4th down and 5 coming up. And we'll see what the Jackrabbits will do. They do not have to run a play here. So let's see if they take the quarter break to decide what they're going to do on 4th and 5. They're kind of in that no man's land territory on the football field. A punt really doesn't do you anything. And this would be a 50-plus yard field goal as the clock has hit double zeros as we have hit the end of the first quarter. With the score, South Dakota State 3, Montana State nothing. 4th down coming up for the Jackrabbits. And we will see what they will do. Actually, I take that back. A field goal would be about 62 yards from here. If you punt the football, unless you can pin Montana State deep, if it's a touchback, you only end up gaining yourself about 24 yards. So we'll see what South Dakota State elects to do on 4th down when the second quarter gets underway. Looking up a couple other scores for you during the quarter break here. Number 21, Alabama, trying to bounce back from that thumping at Florida State last week, and so far so good. They lead 21-0 near the end of the first quarter. More finals from earlier. Another ranked team went down earlier today. Number 17, SMU. They fell to Baylor in double overtime, 48-45. In a battle of the Aggies, number 19, Texas A&M defeated Utah State 44-22. Number 20, Ole Miss getting the road SEC win in Lexington over Kentucky 30-23. Number 22, Tennessee hangs 72 today against East Tennessee State, winning that game 72-17. Number 23, Indiana, no problem with Kennesaw State, 56-9. Number 24, Texas Tech, 62-14 over Kent State. So we haven't exactly had, outside of a couple games, we have not exactly had the most competitive games on this second full week in college football. Let's run down a couple other FCS scores for you as we run down the rest of the FCS poll. Number 11 this week, Lehigh. They defeated Sacred Heart today, 28-10. Coming in at number 12 this week, Incarnate Word. And Incarnate Word actually appears to have the week off this week. Villanova ranked number 13 in the FCS poll this week, and Villanova currently leads Colgate in a battle, though, 24-17. Number 14, Southern Illinois, had an FBS battle this week at Purdue, and that game is close. 17-14, Purdue leads Southern Illinois in the second quarter. And Jackson State coming in this week at number 15. They have an FBS battle this week as they trail Southern Miss in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. 38-20. That's a few other scores. for you around the country, FBS and FCS level, as we are set to begin quarter number 2 in this one, with South Dakota State leading Montana State 3-0. Taking a look at the stats through the first quarter. South Dakota State 56 yards of offense compared to Montana State's 24. Lamson held to just 3 yards passing in that first quarter. South Dakota State did have that turnover on the lost fumble. As it appears, there's some issues with the feed out there. South Dakota State is going to punt this football. Try to follow along as the TV feed has dissipated, so we'll try to follow along here via the computer. South Dakota State is punting the football, and Pelham punts it, and a fair catch by Taco Dowler at the 12-yard line. So Montana State backed up here at their own 12-yard line, 14:54 to go second quarter. And Montana State held to 24 yards of offense in that first quarter by the South Dakota State defense. A South Dakota State defense that held Sacramento State to 136 for the game last week. As Montana State comes out and starts their next drive of the game. From the 12-yard line. And this is a gain for Adam Jones, and he's going next to nowhere on first down. South Dakota State defense swarming Jones, and it'll be second down and 10. And we do have a injured South Dakota State defensive player. Didn't catch who that was. There isn't, but we do have an injury timeout. So injury timeout right now. Not going to run down scores anymore right now, but let's run down the rest of the top 25 in the FCS poll this week. Number 16, Abilene Christian. Tennessee Tech coming in at number 17. Sacramento State, 18 this week, following their loss to South Dakota State in the opener last week. Northern Arizona at number 19. North Dakota enters the poll this week at number 20. North Dakota just missed an FBS upset at Kansas State last week. The rest of the top 25, Monmouth coming in at number 21. Nichols coming in at number 22. Mercer at number 23, Southern Utah entering at number 24, and Stephen F. Austin rounds out the top 25, coming in at number 25. Sacramento State, number 18 team. Told you about the loss to South Dakota State last week. They have an FBS school. They're at Nevada, only trailing in the fourth quarter by 3. 20-17, so Sacramento State giving a battle to the Nevada Wolfpack out there in Reno tonight. We'll run down some more scores for you here in just a few minutes. And I do want to also mention, I will be pausing this stream at halftime. I will be back with you just before the start of the second half. Run down the first half stats and get you ready for the second half of this Big top three matchup in the FCS, which currently is being led by South Dakota State 3-0 over Montana State. As we are just about set to resume action here, following the injury timeout. Second down for the Bobcats. Football sitting at the 12-yard line. Hampson going back in the shotgun once again. Lamson rolling to his right, fires downfield to a wide open receiver. That's a first down across the 40-yard line, up to the 46-yard line, 34 yards. On a second down reception for the wide receiver, Dane Steele, his first reception of the night for Montana State, goes for 34. Boy, Lamson rolled to his right and found his receiver, Steele, down the field. And Montana State with their second first down of the night. Football sitting at the 46-yard. There's a late flag that came in too. And add 15 more on a face mask against South Dakota State. So that's going to move the football to the 39-yard line of the Jackrabbits. So great scoring opportunity for Montana State. First down at the Jackrabbits 39. And here's a handoff, and the running back's going to throw it, and it's caught. Reception this time for Montana State to the tight end, Hunter Provience. Sophomore out of San Diego. It was the give to the running back, Adam Jones, who then threw a strike down the field. And the Bobcats are inside the Jackrabbits 25. Lamson hit as he throws, incomplete. Intended for Adam Jones as running back. Lamson got hit as he threw that football, and it's second down and 10. Second down and 10. Football sitting at the 24-yard line of South Dakota State. Lamson. And gives it off on the pass and out of bounds for a minimal gain. Reception that time for Montana State. For the tight end, Ryland Schlepp. Gain of 2, though. Brings up third down and 8. Third down. Bobcats need 8. Football at the Jackrabbits 21-yard line. Lamson. Rolling. Lamson in trouble. And Lamson gets out of a sack. And Lamson's going to run for close to a first down. And we have a hard hit on Lamson, as it looks like he's going to be about a half yard short. I have no idea. That looked like he was stopped for a 10 to 12-yard sack. Somehow got out of it and picks up 7 yards. I have no idea how South Dakota State did not bring him down back there. Took a nice little shot at the end there. So they gave him the first down, actually. I thought he was for sure a yard short, but they give him the first down at the 13-yard line. New set of downs for the Bobcats. And we've got movement all over the place here. This is going to cost Montana State 5. I don't know who they're going to call this on. That was a whole offensive line move there. They had to call it on somebody, and so they got the offensive lineman, Braden Zimmer. Makes it 1st and 15. First and 15 for the Bobcats. Football at the 18 of South Dakota State. Lamson in trouble again, rolling to his right, and this time only able to pick up about a yard. Maybe 2. But nothing downfield and nowhere to go that time for Lamson. 2nd down, 13. Well, he took another good shot from a South Dakota State defender. Also took down the chain guy on the far sideline on that. 2nd down, 13. Lamson has time. Lamson to a wide open receiver. The catch made inside the 10-yard line and brought down at the 7-yard line. That's Adam Jones, the running back, with the reception. And it'll bring up 3rd down. A manageable 3rd and short coming up for Montana State. It's about 3rd and 2.5 or so. Third down, 3. Montana State trying to finish off this drive with a touchdown. Lamson will keep it. Lamson in for the Bobcats. Touchdown. A design quarterback run all the way. Lamson runs it in from 7 yards out, and Montana State grabs the lead on the first touchdown of the game with 10:47 to go in quarter number 2. Lamson absolutely untouched into the end zone. Didn't look like South Dakota State was looking for that play. Stater to come on to add the extra point. I beg your pardon, that's Miles Stanstead coming on for the extra point. And the kick is good, and the Bobcats take a 7-3 lead over South Dakota State with 10:47 remaining in quarter number 2, a drive that was finished off by a 7-yard touchdown run by quarterback Justin Lamson. Bobcats lead this game 7-3. That drive for Montana State, 9 plays, 88 yards. That drive started back at their own 12-yard line. Took 4 minutes, 7 seconds for the 7-yard touchdown by Justin Lamson. So now South Dakota State trailing for the first time in their first 2 games of the season, as they now trail this game 7-3. See if we get you a couple of score updates. North Carolina head coach Bill Belichick getting thumped at home by TCU last week. They're trying to bounce back. They lead Charlotte 10-3. That game nears halftime. Mississippi State now 17-0 over number 12 Arizona State. Still 7-0 Oklahoma over Michigan. Just a couple other scores there for you across the country. FCS scoreboard, we got another FCS team trying to pull an upset over an FBS school. Bryant is leading UMass 24-23. That game has 5 minutes remaining. Here it's 7-0 or 7-3. Montana State leading South Dakota State as we are just about set for the kickoff. So Montana State set to kick this football off following the touchdown. And fielding this at the 2-yard line across the 24-yard line. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda on the kick return for the Jackrabbits, and they will start this next drive. With 10:41 remaining in the second quarter, this drive will start at the 24-yard line. That Montana State touchdown, the first touchdown scored against the Jackrabbits defense all season. This is a give to Lockridge on first down. Lockridge with a good gain, and he's across the 30 up to the 33-yard line. Good pickup for Lockridge on first down. (10-10) and counting remaining second quarter. Second and a yard from the 33. Mason under center this time, and he'll give it right back to Lockridge, who's hit in the backfield and dropped. We do have a flag down. We'll see what the flag's about. There was a little bit of extracurriculars after the tackle. I don't know if that's what this is. No, it's going to be a motion penalty against South Dakota State. So that will back the Jackrabbits up 5 and will bring up second down and 6. Back at the 28-yard line. Third penalty of the half against South Dakota State for 25 yards. Second and 6 for the Jackrabbits. Football sitting at the 28-yard line. Actually, it was declined by Montana State to set up a 3rd and 3 play. Mason throwing downfield, incomplete. South Dakota State wanted an interference call. The defender never turned around. But no flag coming in 4th down, and South Dakota State's going to have to punt the football. So the Montana State defense forces a 3 and out and will get the football right back. And the punt. Fair catch called and made at the 28-yard line. Fair catch made by Taco Dowler, and Montana State, with 9:14 to go in the second quarter, will start this next drive from their own 28-yard line, leading South Dakota State 7-3. While we have this break, want to update you on my live stream schedule. I will be back with you tomorrow night on a live stream. I've been torn if what it's going to be, if it was going to be the Sunday night baseball game or if it was going to be the Sunday night football game. And it is going to be the Sunday night football game tomorrow night because when I looked at the Major League Baseball schedule, there is no Sunday night baseball game next week. So I will be on with you tomorrow night for the Ravens and the Bills opening Sunday night NFL game of the year. And I do want to extend an apology too. I had said I had planned on being on a live stream for the opening night NFL game the other night, but the work schedule interfered, and unfortunately, I was unable to do that. So I do want to apologize if anybody tuned into my live stream looking for that. But I will definitely be on the air with you tomorrow night for the Ravens and the Bills, and I plan on being on with you Monday night as well for the Vikings-Bears opening Monday night football game of the season. So hope to be with you for the next, counting tonight, 4 nights in a row. Football today, tomorrow, and Monday. And Major League Baseball on Tuesday on the live stream. Tigers and the Yankees as we approach the home stretch in the Major League Baseball regular season. So we'll be with you Tuesday night. Hopefully we'll be with you. That's pending at this point. But hopefully we'll be with you Tuesday night for the Tigers and Yankees live stream. Again, that's pending at this point. That's not a for sure. We'll keep you updated. I will know probably by Monday night when I'm on the air with the Vikings and Bears live stream. But back here, it is 7-3 Montana State leading South Dakota State. And it will be Montana State football at their own 28 to start this next drive. As they marched 88 yards down the field on their last drive and getting the Justin Lamson rushing touchdown. Drive for the Bobcats from the 28-yard line, 1st down and 10. Lamson to throw. Lamson looking. Lamson has a man. That pass is caught up to the 35-yard line. Gain of 7 on 1st down. Reception made there by Taco Dowler. He's had a busy first half. And gets this football up to the 35-yard line, be 2nd down and 3. Lamson has Jones in the backfield with him this time, and he's going to give it to him. Jones, running room, left side. Jones, 50, 45, 40, still on his feet before getting bumped out of bounds. A big gain on 2nd down. And I beg your pardon, that was Julius Davis for Montana State getting that run. $33 yards on the carry for Julius Davis. 1st down at the Jackrabbits 31. Lamson back to the air. Lamson is sacked instead. Matt Gehring on the sack for South Dakota State and a loss of 6. Boy, Gehring rushed right through that offensive line, and there's nothing Lamson could do there. And the sack for Gehring brings up 2nd and 16 for Montana State. From the 38-yard line, as we've just passed the midway point of the 2nd quarter. Lamson out of the gun. Lamson over the middle. Pass is caught. And the ball is out. South Dakota State says they have the football. And they do. The reception was made by that Jacob Trimble, but he was hit immediately. And the recovery was made by Dawson Raperta for South Dakota State. So the Bobcats turn it over for the first time, and South Dakota State dodged a bullet that time. As the defense steps up. And the Jackrabbits have the football at the 36-yard line, first down and 10. Mason back to work on offense. Mason fakes the handoff, and now Mason will keep it himself with a lot of running room. First down, 49-yard line as he slides down and gets hit on the slide, but it's a 13-yard pickup for the quarterback, Chase Mason, and a first down for the Jackrabbits. Boy, a lot of room to run there for Mason, and he makes the most of it. Gain of 13, first down and 10 for South Dakota State, trailing by 4 with the clock running, 6:35 to go, second quarter. This is Lockridge, nowhere to go for Lockridge, and he's brought down for a loss. Back to the 43-yard line. A loss of 4 for Lockridge. He's been held down here in this first half. He's at 41 yards on 9 carries so far. Second down, 14. South Dakota State football at their own 43. Mason looking to throw. Mason has a receiver. Pass is incomplete. Graham Goring, the intended receiver, and it will be third and long for the Jackrabbits. South Dakota State has not converted a third down yet in this game. They are 0 for 4. Third down and 14. Mason looking. Mason, nowhere to go. Mason will take it himself. Mason across the 50, but brought down just across midfield, nowhere near a first down. Mason does pick up 8, but it will still be fourth down and 6, and more than likely a punting situation coming up for South Dakota State. So ever since the opening drive of the game where South Dakota State got the field goal, Montana State has shut down South Dakota State and kept them off the scoreboard since that opening drive. High snap, but the punt is off. And that punt will bounce into the end zone for a touchback. So the Bobcats will have it from the 20-yard line to start this next drive, which comes with 4:52 remaining in the second quarter and leading the football game 7-3. So first down for the for the Bobcats at the 20-yard line. Both teams still have their full plethora of timeouts. Lamson on the keeper on first down. Lamson across the 25 to the 27-yard line. 7 yards for Lamson on first down. That's 26 yards rushing for Lamson now in the first half. Second down and 3 for Montana State. Football sitting at the 27-yard line. Lamson gives it off to Adam Jones. Adam Jones will have a first down across the 30 up to the 32-yard line before he's brought down, but 5 yards and a Bobcats first down. First down, Bobcats at the 32. Lamson out of the gun. Lamson in trouble, gets sacked. See who that was that got the sack for South Dakota State. That was Logan Green on the sack. The junior out of Northborough, Iowa. And a 10-yard loss on that sack of Lamson. Second down and 20. Back at the 23-yard line. Lamson. Lamson is going to be sacked again. Logan Green in on this one as well. And it will be now 3rd and a country mile for Montana State. Third down, Bobcats need 26. Back at the 17-yard line. And Lamson's just going to keep it and get what he can. And he gets up to the 22-yard line, gain of 6, but not anywhere near a first down. And Montana State will have to punt this football away. South Dakota State should get pretty good field position out of this, as we are going to hit the 2-minute timeout. 2 minutes to play, second quarter, 7-3 lead for Montana State over South Dakota State. But Montana State's going to have to punt this football away. And let's see if South Dakota State can get some points on the board before the half, as Montana State is going to receive the second half kickoff. So you know South Dakota State would love to put some points on the board knowing that. They should get pretty good field position off the punt, and they have all 3 timeouts. Again, at halftime, I'm going to have to pause this live stream. I'll be back with you right prior to the second half to run down the first half stats and get you ready for the second half in this top 5 FCS matchup. See if I have any updated scores of interest. Still 7-0, Oklahoma leading Michigan. And Oklahoma's driving. Sacramento State, a near miss on the road at FBS Nevada. Sacramento State falling 20-17 in that game. We've had a lot of near misses by FCS teams on the road at FBS teams so far this year. And another near miss right there. And then we've also had FCS teams win at FBS schools already this year. Tarleton State winning at Army last week. But here we're at the 2-minute timeout. 7-3 lead for Montana State over South Dakota State. But Montana State's going to have to punt this football away to South Dakota State. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda standing back, set to receive this punt. And the punt is... Was that blocked? I don't know if the camera cut away. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know if the punt was blocked. We're going to look at it right here. It was blocked. See who that was that got his arm in there for South Dakota State to block that punt? It was Casey Larson, it looks like, with the block punt for South Dakota State. And the Jackrabbits are at the 21-yard line of Montana State. Boy, what a break for the Jackrabbits here in the final 2 minutes. This is Lockridge. Lockridge with room. Lockridge inside the 10. First and goal, Jackrabbits. Lockridge marches it down to the 8-yard line. So a block punt very well could give South Dakota State the halftime lead here. Boy, what a turn that was. Lockridge up to 54 yards now on 10 carries. First and goal at the 8-yard line. Mason back in the shotgun. And what do we have? It looks like we have a timeout called by South Dakota State. They're first of the half, so they have 2 remaining as the clock is stopped with 1:11 to play in the first half. So a blocked punt gave South Dakota State the football at the 21-yard line of Montana State, and they are looking to take advantage of that blocked punt and get in the end zone here right before halftime. As it will be first and goal from the 8-yard line. Out of the time, off the South Dakota State timeout. First and goal, 8-yard line for the Jackrabbits. Mason out of the gun. Mason on the keeper. Mason to the 5. End zone touchdown, Jackrabbits. Chase Mason, an 8-yard touchdown run. And the Jackrabbits retake the lead with 1:06 to play in the first half. So both touchdowns tonight in this game have been scored on rushing touchdowns by their respective quarterbacks on South Dakota State and Montana State. And both basically untouched on their way to the end zone. 9-7 with Eli Stater coming on to try and add the extra point. Extra point try by Stater is up, and it is good, and it is 10-7. South Dakota State over Montana State with 1:06 to play in this first half. So what a turn of events that was with 1:06 to play in the first half. And South Dakota State will kick this football away. Now on the other side, Montana State, as I mentioned, is going to get the football to start the second half. And if they can get a decent kick return here, they too also have all 3 timeouts remaining. So we'll see what Montana State elects to do. That was just a 2-play drive that took 21 yards and 46 seconds off the clock. Chase Mason, an 8-yard touchdown run. And here's the kickoff. This is Woods from the 3, across the 10. Jabez Woods right side, 20, 25, 30, out of bounds as he crosses the 35 up to the 40-yard line. A great return on the kickoff by Woods. 37 yards on the kickoff return. So now Montana State with great field position, and as I mentioned, all 3 timeouts. as they try to get some points on the board here to at least tie this game or maybe retake the lead going into the halftime break with exactly 1 minute remaining. First down, Lamson throws over the middle, pass is caught across the 45-yard line up to the 46-yard line. That's Adam Jones with the reception at the 46-yard line. Quick snap. Lamson, a lot of room. 50, 45, 40. Lamson, 30, out of bounds at the 24-yard line. And a big gainer there by the quarterback, Lamson, as he gains 31. And that will definitely put the Bobcats in field goal range. From the 23-yard line. Lamson rolling to his right. Lamson throwing out of bounds. Incomplete. Nothing downfield. And Lamson just wisely threw it out of bounds. Second down and 10. Second down and 10. Football at the 23-yard line of the Jackrabbits. This is Lamson on the keeper going nowhere. And a timeout called here by the Bobcats. It'll be their first of the half, because they're left with 2 and 21 seconds. So with 21 seconds to go, the Bobcats definitely in field goal range to tie this before the half. South Dakota State hoping to maybe get a turnover and keep the Bobcats off the board and take the lead to the halftime locker room. So following the timeout, it's going to be second down and 10 for the Bobcats. Lamson has passed for 63 yards in this first half and also ran for 47. And I'm sorry, it's third and 10, excuse me. Lamson passes caught to Jones. Jones is going to be brought down at the 15, shy of the first down by 2 yards. And it is going to be fourth down. And Montana State's going to let this clock tick down to 3 seconds, and they will use their second timeout. And we'll bring on the field goal team to try to tie this game heading to the halftime locker room. So on will come Sandstead to try to tie this game heading to the halftime locker room. This will be a 33-yard attempt. And now South Dakota State's going to use a timeout on defense. Maybe trying to freeze the kicker here a little bit. Field goal attempt from 33 yards is good, and that's going to tie this game heading to the locker room. We are 10-10 in this top three matchup in the FCS. All square at intermission, 10-10. And we should have a doozy of a second half coming up between these two very, very good teams at the FCS level. South Dakota State looking to start off 2-0. Montana State looking to crack the win column here in game number 2 of the season. Again, here on the live stream, I am going to have to sign off here for a little while at halftime, but I will definitely be back with you just prior to the second half and get you set with all the first half stats. Possibly run down a little bit of the college football scoreboard and get you ready for half number 2, which should be a doozy between the Jackrabbits and the Bobcats. 10-10. Our halftime score. I'm going to sign off here for just a few minutes, but I will be back just prior to the second half.